speaking of your the whole Jewish thing about you, Sam. Speaking of your Judaism, Ben Shapiro's addressed Candace Owens' remarks where she basically defended Kanye West, tweeting that he wanted to go, quote, DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. She spent her entire segment on it, asking a bunch of questions about what he was intending, giving him the most generous, I guess, interpretation possible, saying that you'd have to be disingenuous to assume that he was being anti-Semitic. Right. A lot of other just nonsense. And Shapiro came out with like really lukewarm critique initially of Kanye West via a tweet. He's increasingly been feeling the heat and has gotten a bit more critical. And now he speaks out about Candace Owens' commentary specifically, since they are both in the Daily Wire fam.
Candace and I disagree about a wide variety of topics. One of the features, not the bugs, of Daily Wire Plus is the fact that we openly disagree about all of this stuff. I share my opinions about what I think Candace is saying. She shares her opinions about what she thinks that I'm saying. We battle it out. It's one of the things that you get at Daily Wire Plus is the fact that there is a wide variety of opinions. Listen, on a personal level, I get Candace defending her friend. She's very close with Kanye West. I get it. I don't think that her defense of Kanye is correct or convincing. I think that the real answer to the Kanye West of it is Kanye is a bipolar human being. I mean, he's made this very clear. I talked about this on the show. And bipolar people tend to say extraordinarily bizarre things and ugly things. And again, that doesn't excuse the bizarreness or the ugliness of the actual remarks, which, as I will say once again for the 1000th time, are in fact anti-Semitic. But there's a difference between somebody cohesively saying what Kanye West said and Kanye West saying things in broken grammar in the midst of what appears to be a bizarre period of his life in which he is presenting Adidas executives with porn in front of their face. And I'm not going to treat that the same as Ilhan Omar saying openly anti-Semitic stuff as an elected congressperson in the United States of America. So
okay, interesting. So I just have a quick question for Ben Shapiro here. It's amazing that his, well, I guess it's just more of an observation. It's amazing how his empathy can extend to Kanye West, who is clearly, yes, he's bipolar, and perhaps he has some sort of episode happening right now that would make sense. But not for, say, Ilhan Omar, who was in a refugee camp, and how that might inform her perspective on Palestinian apartheid, or the fact that Rashida Tlaib still has family within Palestine, and that might inform her perspective on Israeli apartheid. Now he has empathy for somebody who's actually tweeted something anti-Semitic, but the empathy does not extend for like real life human experiences for people who might have a more humanitarian perspective towards Palestinians.
Of course, because the reason why he brings up Ilhan Omar is because her criticism, in fact, was not only not anti-Semitic, it was incredibly legitimate about and so uncontroversial that even Thomas Friedman had said something almost identical years earlier. But what I find interesting is, okay, if you're going to say that the reason why you're not excusing, but you're explaining Kanye West things because he's bipolar and he's saying things that are bizarre and inappropriate, then isn't there some critique that you might want to reserve also for Candace Owens, for Tucker Carlson, and for any other of your right-wing buddies who are exploiting what you say is clear mental illness to attempt to score political points? Like, if you're going to acknowledge the fact that the guy is going out and he is basically, there's no one around him who is willing to basically provide him the help that he clearly needs. You're saying he's going through some type of psychological episode. Well, how about holding to account those people around him who are basically taking his psychological episode and waving it around as some type of club? I mean, that's the thing, is he wants it one way, but he won't accept the implications of the way that he wants it.
Right.
To cover for Candace Owens. That's what I find fascinating. Well, I'm going to excuse his anti-Semitism, or just at the very least explain it because he's having an episode. But I'm not going to talk about the people who are basically wielding him around to make some, frankly, somewhat of a racist point. And you know, because the sort of racist point that he's making, well, that's legit. But the anti-Semitic one that's coming around is you're sort of wielding this person who's going through a psychological episode. That's illegitimate. That's what's really going on here.
Yeah, right. That's a great point. Like in his, the anti-Semitism is a function of his mental episode, but the White Lives Matter stuff we agree with. So I mean, we're just going to totally ignore that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we can keep going.
Executives with porn in front of their face. And I'm not going to treat that the same as Ilhan Omar saying openly anti-Semitic stuff as an elected congressperson in the United States of America. So when it comes to Candace, I mean, look, am I still friends with, of course I'm friendly with Candace. Am I friendly with Tucker Carlson? I mean, Tucker cut a segment from his interview with Kanye in which Kanye said a bunch of anti-Semitic stuff. Listen, am I friends with Joe Rogan? Joe Rogan had on Roger Waters the other day. Roger Waters is a ridiculous anti-Semitic jerk. I mean, like, wide varieties of disagreement happen in this space. Bottom line is, when it comes to Kanye's remarks, undoubtedly anti-Semitic remarks. When it comes to Candace's defense of those remarks, I think Candace is dead wrong on what she said. While respecting her relationship with Kanye, she knows Kanye better than I do. She knows his motivation. Okay, whatever. All of that I'm sure is true, and I will take that for granted. What she said about Kanye, I radically disagree with. I think that she is dead wrong. I think that it is not it betrays a lack of understanding about anti-Semitism and the scope of anti-Semitism. But we're allowed to have those disagreements. That's the way this works.
Boy, oh boy. Ben's not doing a very good job around the commissary.
Yeah, Candace Owens
over there. She's teaching Candace about anti-Semitism. You'd think if anybody would know, it would be those people on, at the commissary over in his what's the name of his thing? Right?
Daily Wire Plus.
Daily Wire Plus. Well. You hate to see it. You hate to see that type of disagreement.
Yeah, so Ben Shapiro says Candace Owens is too loyal to her friends to be honest and lacks understanding about anti-Semitism. Print headline.
But let's also be clear, just to sum up, too, he's saying when you are having a mental episode and say stuff that is anti-Semitic, it's anti-Semitic. When you are having a mental episode and say stuff that is racist or denying of racism, you're right.
Right.
Basically what he's saying.
Right. Exactly.